أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. حرمت عليكم الميتة والدم ولحم الخنزير وما أهل لغير الله به والمنخنقة والموقوذة والمتردية والنطيحة وما أكل السبع إلا ما ذكيتم وما ذبح على النصب وأن تستقسموا بالأزلام ذلكم فسق. اليوم يئس الذين كفروا من دينكم فلا تخشوهم واخشون اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم وأتممت عليكم نعمتي ورضيت لكم الإسلام دينا فمن اضطر في مخمصة غير متجانف لإثم فإن الله غفور رحيم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح الخاتم وعلى آله حق قدره ومقداره العظيم. My brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In the continuation of our Quranic studies, yesterday we have studied the first 3 verses of Surat Al-Mai'da, which is the 5th surah in the Holy Quran, and today, inshallah, we are going to continue from where we start. Yesterday, we were talking about this verse that I've just recited, and we are like halfway explaining what the verse means, and we have heard about the kind of animals that are prohibited for us. Allah said, prohibited to you are dead animals, blood, the flesh of swine, and that which has been dedicated to other than Allah, and those animals killed by strangling or by a violent blow or by headlong fall or by degoring of horns and those from which a wild animal has eaten, except what you are able to slaughter before its death, and those which are sacrificed on stone altars. And prohibited is that you seek decision through divine arrows. And I think that is where we stopped yesterday. And all of these things are fisq according to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then this interpolation comes because that actually is a long sentence, and the remaining part of the sentence is the last part of the verse, which says فَمَنِ اضْطُرَّ فِي مَخْمَصَةٍ غَيْرَ مُتَجَانِفٍ لِإِثْمٍ فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. And anyone who finds it extremely difficult to survive as a result of starving, not because the person is moving towards committing sin, and it can be lawful for that person. That is the remaining part of the verse. But before completing the verse, Allah said, that is prohibited for you. All of those things, even though in the beginning he said, it is made unlawful for you, but he still repeated, that is fisq, that is evil. اليوم يئس الذين كفروا من دينكم فلا تخشوهم واخشون اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم وأتممت عليكم نعمتي ورضيت لكم الإسلام دينا. All this part is interpolation, and what the interpolation is saying is that is evil. All these things mentioned above are evil. اليوم يئس الذين كفروا من دينكم. Those unbelievers today, they have given up about your religion. As far as this religion is concerned, non-believers have given up already. وَلَا تَخْشَوْهُمْ وَاخْشَوْنِ. You have no reason to be afraid of them, but you have every reason to be afraid of me. Allah says that. الْيَوْمَ أَكْمَلْتُ لَكُمْ دِينَكُمْ. And today I have completed your religion for you. وَأَتْمَمْتُ عَلَيْكُمْ نِعْمَتِي. And I have perfected my bounties upon you. وَرَضِيتُ لَكُمْ الْإِسْلَامَ دِينًا. And I'm pleased with Islam to be your religion forever. What is the wisdom behind this interpolation within this verse? The fact that this might be one of the excuses a Muslim might want to give for eating some of these things that are prohibited, probably because it's invited by non-Muslims, and part of the dishes provided in the dinner or lunch to which he was invited, swine, pork, and an animal that was killed through beating, an animal that was killed through headlong falling, and all of that. Then, for social reasons, let me just have this so that I won't appear antisocial and I won't appear awkward somehow. So let me just have this. This is just one time, not because I'm believing it is lawful, but because I don't want to appear antisocial. Allah said, you don't have to. You really don't have to. If you're doing that for fear that probably these people might harm your religion, it is no longer the case. It is no longer the case. Gone are the days when you'll be frightened by the non-believers. Right? So that is the wisdom behind this interpolation here. So Allah said, اليوم يئس الذين كفروا من دينكم. Those who are unbelievers have given up. As far as this religion is concerned, they have given up. ولا تخشوهم واخشوني. You have no reason to be afraid of them, or you have every reason to fear me. اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم. I have perfected your religion for you, and I have perfected my bounties upon you. ورضيت لكم الإسلام دينا, and I have accepted and I'm pleased with Islam to be your religion forever. And when this verse was revealed to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam during Hajjatul Wada, when he was performing the final pilgrimage known as Al-Hajj al-Akbar, the greatest pilgrimage. And this verse was revealed to him as a sign of the completion of the religion. And when this verse was revealed, Umar ibn Khattab was there and he wept. The Prophet ﷺ asked him, why are you weeping? He said, because this verse says that the religion is perfected. Previously, the religion was not perfected. So every day we receive new revelation, new revelation, and new revelation. But now that it is perfected, that means we are not going to get anything more. And it is a natural law that everything that reaches its perfection, it will reach point of diminishing return. Right? It's a natural law. It will start coming down, which means definitely that is what is going to happen to us, and that is the reason I'm weeping, which is actually true. Then Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam left the scene, then things happen, right? And we find ourselves in the situation that we find ourselves today. So Umar wept for that, right? And after the revelation of this particular verse, exactly 81 days later, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam died. Alayhi salatu wasalam. Less than 3 months thereabout, he died. After coming back to Medina, someone from among the Jewish community met Umar one of the days and they were having a conversation, and he said to Umar, there's a particular verse in your book. If that verse were to be revealed to us, if that verse were to be part of our book, the day in which that verse was revealed would have been a day of celebration, would have made it part of a cultural celebration in our tradition, right? To make it a big feast. And then Umar asked him, which verse are you talking about? He said, the verse in the Quran that says, اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم وأتممت عليكم نعمتي ورضيت لكم الإسلام دينا. He cited this verse, and Umar said, but I know exactly when that verse was revealed, where and how, the circumstances surrounding the revelation of that verse. The verse was revealed to Prophet the day of Arafah, which coincided with the day of Friday, right? And Arafah is a day to our Eid, right? So it was Eid anyway. Not that Umar radiallahu anhu mentioned that, but it was Eid anyway. And I think what that Jewish person was saying was, was significant in the fact that he's drawing attention to the fact that Allah has done something for you, to the extent that Allah is even saying that, so you need to thank him. But what probably he did not know is the fact that we are the people that thank Allah more than any other people without even us realizing. So um, striking that Allah made us to thank him 17 times every day as part of as part of the compulsory prayers. In each of the rakat we would have to recite Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin, which is far greater than having one Thanksgiving day per annum. Just one day in a year, you do Thanksgiving day to thank God for what He has done in your life. But this is not what you're doing in our own case. In our own case, we do Thanksgiving 17 times every blessed day. You have to pray 5 times a day. And those 5 times, if you put all the rakats together, you have 17 rakats. And in each of the rakat, we have to say, Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen. And that means thanks are due to Allah, the Lord of the whole universe. Right? But anyone who finds himself in a very bad situation, who was forced by severe hunger, not just ordinary hunger, but starvation. When you are in a situation where you don't have anything to eat now, and you are not sure in the next meal time, and you are not even sure what is going to happen to you. It might really cost you your life or cause a very big damage in your life. In a situation like that, then all the things that were made prohibited to you cannot be lawful. You can consume the animal that is killed by beating. You can consume the beef from animal that is killed by strangulation or throwing or even swine, right? But it is because of the law. It has to be not as a result of your willingness to commit sin, not as a result of your inclination to commit sin. فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. If that is the case, then Allah is oft forgiving and most merciful, subhanahu wa ta'ala. يسألونك ماذا أحل لهم قل أحل لكم الطيبات وما علمتم من الجوارح مكلمين تعلمونهن مما علمكم الله فكلوا مما أمسكنا عليكم واذكروا اسم الله عليه واتقوا الله إن الله سريع الحساب. يسألونك ماذا أحل لهم. Oh, the Prophet, your people are asking you then what is lawful to them? What is it that is made lawful to them? If all of those things that were mentioned were made unlawful to them, then what is lawful? ماذا أحل لهم قل أحل لكم الطيبات. Anything that is good, anything that culturally you consume and you feel it's good and you think it is a good thing to consume, in terms of beef, it is still lawful to you, right? And this takes us back to the idea of prohibition in Islam, in Islamic Sharia. Al-aslu fi kulli shay'in al-ibaha. Originally, everything is lawful. That is the standard. That is the rule. When you come to this life, everything is just lawful to you, but there will be some exceptions. And that is the job of Sharia. Sharia is to come and tell you, okay, this is the exception. Everything is lawful except the animal killed through strangulation, except the animal killed through beating, except the animal killed through throwing, except the animal killed through using horn, except the pork, except everything is exception. Other than those specific exceptions that You find in the Holy Book, the Quran, in different ayahs, different verses, any other thing remains as it was. It remains with its original um, legality. وحل لكم الطيبات وما علمتم من الجوارح مكلبين تعلمونهن مما علمكم الله. And beyond that, you people are hunters, and hunting is still lawful, still made lawful to you, so you can actually get some wild animals that you can train. وما علمتم من الجوارح مكلبين. الجوارح مكلبين. الجوارح are the hunting animals, which include dogs and um, any other wild animal that you can domesticate and train. Mukallibin is the art of uh, the wildness that will make them trainable so that they can go and hunt for you. تعلمونهن, and then you teach them مما علمكم الله, from the wisdom that Allah has given you. Domesticate them and teach them. And this can be even some birds, including eagles, that some people domesticate and train for the purposes of hunting. So you can do that, and that is also lawful for you, right? فَكُلُوا مِمَّا أَمْسَكْنَا عَلَيْكُمْ. So whatever the caught on your behalf, you can eat it. It's lawful for you. وَاذْكُرُوا اسْمَ اللَّهِ عَلَيْهِ. But you have to mention the name of God on it, right? So Islamic scholars have many discussions around this area of many issues here. One of the issues is it lawful to domesticate any kind of animal and use it for the purpose of hunting? Well, the generality of the scholars say yes, whatever kind of animal that you can domesticate, but some remain on some specific animals, like just dogs. They say just dogs, right? Apart from dogs, no any other animal. But actually, the most authentic opinion about this is that whatever kind of animal, including even birds, eagles, and all of that, we can domesticate them and train them. And the reason, another reason why the Sahaba at that time were asking was because at some point Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave them injunction that they should get rid of all the dogs that they were domesticating at that time. And then after this verse was revealed, then he gave them three exceptions. The dog that you're using in your farm, and the dog that you're using for rearing animals, and the dog that you're using for hunting. These are the only three dogs that you can keep with you, not a dog that you can call a pet and all of that. These are the only dogs that you can keep Islamically. And another thing is, what if you sent the dog to hunt on your behalf, but when the dog went there, caught the animal, killed the animal, and started eating the animal before you reach? Can you still eat that animal? Most of the scholars say no, you can't, because once the dog started eating the animal, that means one or two things. Either the dog caught for himself, or the dog was not trained enough. And how would you know that the dog is trained enough, right? There are three considerations to know that the dog, or whatever kind of animal you're using, is trained enough to be able to rely on that animal for hunting, and you can use whatever he caught as a lawful meal. One is the fact that the dog can only go when it is asked to go, when it is instructed by the owner of the animal. So he doesn't just act on its own instinct, wait for instructions, even if he sees the animal passing. That is the first indication that the animal is well trained. The second indication is that at whatever point, if instruction is issued to the animal to stop, the animal stops. Once you see that in your animal, then you know that you have the second indication that that animal is trained. And the third indication is that when the animal catches the prey, it would not start eating the prey before bringing it to master. These three things are the criteria given by Islamic scholars to realize, to understand, to find out whether your your hunting animal is well trained. What is the implication for looking at these things? The implication is that if the dog or whatever animal you're using for hunting is not well trained, so even if he goes and caught an animal, that animal cannot be lawful to you, according to many scholars. According to many scholars. But what if the animal is well trained, but at the same time, without any instruction, he saw an animal passing and he started running and he went and caught that animal and brought back to you? Would you eat it? Yes, it is still lawful. You can still eat it. Right? What if it went and caught an animal, but unfortunately, there are other animals, other hunting animals, hunting dogs that came and caught the animal together with it and they killed it. You said Bismillah when you are sending your animal, but you are not sure whether the other people, most especially if they are not Muslims, the other hunters, if they say Bismillah before sending their own, according to many scholars, you are not going to eat that animal because you are not sure which of the animals killed the prey, whether it was your animal that killed the prey or the dogs of the other hunters who are not Muslims and who didn't say Bismillah when they are sending their prey. So many jurisprudential issues to be discussed here, which I mean, it's something that is worth going to school to learn, going to Islamic schools to learn, or even worth specifying a lecture on, because there are a lot of issues around this verse. وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ. Allah said you should be conscious of Allah all the time. In Allah said hisab. Allah is very quick when it comes to giving judgment. Al hisab is giving account. So Allah is indeed swift in terms of giving account. اليوم أحل لكم الطيبات وطعام الذين أوتوا الكتاب حل لكم وطعامكم حل لهم والمحصنات من المؤمنات والمحصنات من الذين أوتوا الكتاب من قبلكم إذا آتيتموهن أجورهن محسنين غير مسافحين ولا متخذي أخدان ومن يكفر بالإيمان فقد حبط عمله وهو في الآخرة من الخاسرين. اليوم أحل لكم الطيبات. Today all the good things, good food is made lawful unto you. You can eat it. طعام الذين أوتوا الكتاب حل لكم. And also the food of the people of the book, the people who are given scriptures before you, is also made lawful to you. وطعامكم حل لهم. And your food is also made lawful to them. Well, this verse is not actually talking about any kind of food. It's talking specifically about beef, about meat, which comes from animal that has been slaughtered. And even if that animal is slaughtered from non-Muslims, but people of scriptures, people of book, Christians, Jewish people, any other category of people of book, if they slaughter an animal, that animal is lawful for you to eat. And the implication of this is the fact that they can slaughter that animal, mention a name other than that of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They can say in the name of Jesus and slaughter the animal. And we know that according to our religion, that Jesus is not the Son of God, he's not God himself. He is a prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is an apostle, someone really, really honored by Allah and really, really respected by us. But still he is not God. So we can't mention the name Jesus and slaughter animal. But what if the Christians mention the name of Jesus and slaughter animal, or a Jewish person mention the name of Moses and slaughter animal? Can we eat it? Is it legal for us to eat that animal? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Because that is the reason why Allah clearly said, اليوم أحل لكم الطيبات وطعام الذين أوتوا الكتاب حل لكم. The food as the meat of those Ahlul Kitab is also made lawful for you to consume. وَطَعَامُكُمْ حِلٌّ لَهُمْ, and your food is also lawful for them to consume. But wait a minute, they don't even have problem with our food to begin with. Why would Allah even say that? وَطَعَامُكُمْ حِلٌّ لَهُمْ, right? Our food is um, lawful. This verse is actually not talking to them, it's still talking to us, because the thing is, most of the scholars of jurisprudence would say that تفاصيل غير المسلمين ليسوا مطالبون بتفاصيل الشريعة, right? When Allah is giving instructions, right? أقيموا الصلاة وآتوا الزكاة. All these are instructions. Is Allah talking to all mankind, or is He talking to the Muslims alone? Allah is actually talking to the Muslims uh, based on one of the opinions, and the opinion I consider is the strongest. Because if a non-Muslim did not even accept to be a Muslim, then there's no point talking to him about Aqimu Salah, Atu Zakat, and all of that, right? So the Tafasir Sharia is not addressed to them. So therefore, when Allah said, وَطَعَامُكُمْ حِلٌّ لَهُمْ, it's not talking to them, it's talking to us. That yes, we should know that our food is also lawful to them. So we can invite them to come and have lunch, come and have dinner with us. We can invite them during our uh, festivities, weddings, and all of that. You can invite them, come and have meal together, even if we have meat in that uh, meal, we slaughter an animal and all of that. So they can come have that meal with us. And the reason this comes here is because next Allah is going to talk about marital relationships between Muslims, Christians, and Jewish people, and Kitab generally, right? So we can feed them, and we can also marry from them. And when you are getting married, make sure you are getting uh, a believing woman who kept her chastity intact. Get her and get married to her. Right? محسنات من المؤمنات والمحسنات من الذين أوتوا الكتاب. And then another woman that has the same characteristics of mu'mina, but who happens to be from Ahlul Kitab, you can marry her also. Um, there's a lot of conversation between Islamic scholars about what's the meaning of muhsanat in this particular context. This muhsanat means someone who kept her chastity, really having really good upbringing. Isn't the kind of woman we are talking about? Or is Allah just talking about um, any kind of woman, right? So in this context, even though in another verse Allah is saying الزاني لا ينكح إلا زانية أو مشركة والزانية لا ينكحها إلا زان أو مشرك حرم ذلك على المؤمنين, right? But when it comes to non-Muslims, al-muhsanat has a little bit different meaning. It doesn't mean someone who is really up there in terms of morality. That is not what the verse is talking about. At least in this context, that is not what the word means. In this context, what the word means is someone who is not a slave. Because if she's a slave, even though she's your wife, she is still answerable to her master who is a non-Muslim. So her master who is a non-Muslim can give her instructions that are in contradiction with your religion. So that is why, even though marrying a Christian or a Jewish lady is acceptable in Islam, but the condition is that she should not be a slave. She has to be a free woman, right? And that is regardless of whether she is really high up there in terms of morality or somewhere in the middle or even down the ladder, based on the condition you are in that even necessitated you getting married to a non-Muslim in the first place, right? والمحصنات من الذين أوتوا الكتاب. Muhsanat from among those who are given books before you, including Christians, including Jewish people. إذا آتيتموهن أجورهن. So you want to get married to them, so you won't just invite them into your place and then you just stay together the way it is happening nowadays in most countries. That the fact that you are marrying a non-Muslim does not mean that you will change the conditions of getting married in Islam. That is what this part of the verse is saying. So you have to give her the mahar, the dowry, just the way you would give a Muslim woman when you are getting married to her. And you have to know within your mind that, yeah, you are taking this woman as a wife, you're getting married to her. You are not just wanting to just use her. غير مسافهين محسنين. You are getting married to her in a morally acceptable way. غير مسافهين. You are not just using her and then later on you're going to dump her because in the first place you didn't have the intention of getting married. ولا متخذي أخدان. And your intention should not be that of just taking her as a side chick, or what may be called in nowadays as a friend with benefits, right? All of these things that are happening nowadays are what Allah has preempted even before the time comes, right? That if you are getting married to a non-Muslim, you should know that this is a marriage we are talking about. The fact that she is not Muslim does not change the place of the goalpost, right? It doesn't change the conditions of getting married. All that happens there is that you happen to want to get married to someone who is not Muslim and who happens to be lawful to you to get married to. And that doesn't change anything. So if you have any of the three intentions, you are not going to get marriage for the purpose of ihsan. Ihsan is for someone to protect himself from committing zina through getting married. And that is ihsan, right? If you know that this is not your intention. Second, musafihin. If you know that your intention is just to use her and dump her. Third intention, wala mutakhizi akhdan. If you know that your intention is to use her as a friend with benefit, all these things will make her prohibited. They will automatically make her prohibited for you because you are going there with a bad intention. So you have to want to get married to her regardless of the fact that she is not a Muslim. You want to get married to her and bring her into your family, and you are not ashamed of bringing her into your family. You are not ashamed to tell anyone that you get married to this woman. You have respect for her because she's your wife and all of that, and you can proudly announce it in public that she's your wife. Once you can do that, then you don't even go there to begin with. ومن يكفر بالإيمان فقد حبط عمله وهو في الآخرة من الخاسرين. And this is talking about her now. ومن يكفر بالإيمان. But anyone who disbelieves in the true religion, in the true Iman, فقد حبط عمله. His deeds are destroyed. وهو في الآخرة من الخاسرين. And he will go to the day of judgment and find out that he is a big loser. What is the relationship between this part of the verse with what Allah is talking about before? It's the fact that she gets married to you shouldn't get her deluded into the fact that she is not going to be saved because she gets married to a Muslim. No, it won't. She has to want to be saved, and if she really wants to be saved, then she becomes a Muslim. Right? Just like her husband is, then she becomes a Muslim, and she has to have a good intention for becoming a Muslim, not just to sustain her marriage, no, but to sustain her relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And she becomes Muslim after becoming a Muslim, and she do good deeds just like her husband is doing, and then she becomes saved in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا قمتم إلى الصلاة فاغسلوا وجوهكم وأيديكم إلى المرافق وامسحوا برؤوسكم وأرجلكم إلى الكعبين وإن كنتم جنبا فاطهروا فإن كنتم مرضى أو على سفر أو جاء أحد منكم من الغائط أو لامستم النساء فلم تجدوا ماء فتيمموا صعيدا طيبا فامسحوا بوجوهكم وأيديكم منه ما يريد الله ليجعل عليكم من حرج ولكن يريد ليطهركم وليتم نعمته عليكم ولعلكم تشكرون. O you who believed, when you rise to perform prayer, wash your faces and your forearms to the elbows and wipe over your heads and wash your feet to the ankles. And if you are in a state of janaba, then purify yourselves. But if you are ill or on a journey, or one of you comes from the place of relieving himself, or you have contacted women and do not find water, then seek clean earth and wipe over your faces and hands with it. Allah doesn't intend to make difficulty for you, but He intends to purify you and complete His favor upon you that you may be grateful. There are many number of issues in this verse, starting from um, wudu, then wudu, and it is placed in relation to salah, then the fara'id, the obligatory aspects of wudu, fara'id al-wudu, and then the differences of understanding among Islamic scholars about the nature of some of the obligatory aspects of wudu, and then what happens if you you have janaba and you don't have water to purify yourselves, or you are in the state of traveling and all of that, and you don't have water to purify yourself. And that brings us to the issue of tayammum. What is tayammum and the nature of tayammum? What do we need to do and how do we do it, right? And the whole idea behind giving us these instructions to do all these things. These are some of the things that are discussed in this verse. And in the beginning, Allah said, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu iza qumtum ila salati faghsilu wujuhakum. Or you who believed, any time you stand up and you want to go and pray, then you have to wash your face. So Allah started by mentioning washing face, which is an indication of you just have to do wudu, right? Faghsilu, this is called an amr, right? And anytime an amr comes, according to usul al-fiqh, the principles of jurisprudence, anytime we see an amr in the Holy Quran or in any scripture, either Quran or Hadith, the first consideration is that amr has to be amr wujub. It has to mean wujub. It has to be obligatory, except if something comes and indicates that this is not obligatory, right? So therefore, we have two kind of obligations here. One, we have to do wudu. Doing wudu for salah is obligatory as the first. And the second is performing wudu is obligatory for each and every salah, because that is what it says. Ya ayyuhallazina amanu idza qumtum ila salati faghsilu wujuhakum. So does that mean that this is um, obligatory for each salah? No, it doesn't mean that. And how do we know that? It's through the sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That is the reason why we definitely need the sunnah, most especially the practical sunnah of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because if not, many things that come in the Holy Quran, we may not know how to interpret them. When Allah said, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu idha qumtum ila salati faghsilu wujuhakum, what it indicates here is what is called umum, right? And in umum, it means it is obligatory to perform wudu for salah, and it's obligatory to perform wudu for each and every salah. That is what we would understand in this context. But the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam does not perform wudu for each and every salah. In the day of the trenches, Khandaq, for example, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam prayed 4 different prayers with the same wudu, 4 different prayers. And in the day of Hajjatul Wada, he performed a number of prayers, a number of prayers, about 3 different prayers with the same wudu. So from this practical aspect of his life, we realize that that is a sunnah that does a takhsis for this umum, right? Umum means general, and then takhsis means exception. So he has given us exception from the general rule that give us the impression that we have to perform wudu for each and every salah. Faghsilu wujuhakum, you have to wash your face. What is face? Face is in between your forehead from where your hair start growing down to your chin, the lower part of your chin, and then from your 2 ears, here, here. That is your face. That is what is meant by face um, from the jurisprudence perspective. So that is the place that you have to wash for you to actually um, fulfill that obligation. So you have to wash it for wudu, and it means that this aspect of wudu is farida, is obligatory. There are other aspects of wudu which are not farida, but this particular one that came in this verse is farida. And you also have to wash your hands up to your elbow. And what does it mean? Does it mean that the elbow itself is part of what I'm going to wash, or it's not? فاغسلوا وجوهكم وأيديكم إلى المرافق. إلى المرافق, according to most of the scholars, they said إلى in this respect means with, right? It doesn't mean to, it means with in this context. Even though in the Arabic language, إلى means up to, right? But in this particular context, it means with your elbow. So you're going to have to wash your hand from the longest finger of your hand up to the elbow, and including the elbow itself. You have to wash it according to Jumhur of Islamic scholars. You also have to wipe your head with water. What qualifies as wiping head with water in this context? Scholars did not agree on this. Imam Malik radiallahu anhu said you have to wipe the whole of your head. That is why, as we would hear in the explanation in Malikiya, have to wipe the whole of your head from the forehead down to the lower part of your elbow, and then come back as sunnah. But going forward is farida, and then coming back is sunnah. But according to Imam Abu Hanifa al-Nu'man, Imam Ahlul Ra'i, he said 1/4 of your head is enough. Once you wipe 1/4 of your head, that is enough, and that is the farida. And Imam Shafi'i says something different. He said whatever goes culturally as wiping head, that is what is meant by Allah here. So you just look around. What do people do generally? What goes practically and culturally as wiping head? That is what is wiping. That is what qualifies as wiping head here. وَأَرْجُلَكُمْ إِلَى الْكَعْبَيْنِ, and you also have to wash your feet onto your ankle, right? And the same thing applies here up to your ankle, just like up to your elbows in washing the hands. So therefore, the ankle themselves are part of what you're going to wash, not just up to them, but together with them, right? And what do you do really? Do you wash your feet or do you wipe them? Because arjul came after ru'us, which Allah give us instruction that we have to wipe. Um, if you look at the grammar of the verse, يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا قمتم إلى الصلاة فاغسلوا وجوهكم وأيديكم إلى المرافق وامسحوا برؤوسكم وأرجلكم إلى الكعبين. From وجوهكم, anything that comes later is maf'ul bihi. It is called maf'ul bihi, which is roughly an equivalent of object in English grammar. Just a rough um, equivalency, but it's not a perfect equivalency. So therefore, the kind of action you are going to do there is the kind of action that comes in the verb that is directed by the subject, and the verb there is faksilu. You have to wash, right? And then up to أيديكم إلى المرافق, and then we have the interpolation of وَامْسَحُوا بِرُؤُوسِكُمْ, and after this interpolation وَأَرْجُلَكُمْ, then the waw of atif, that's the waw that comes as an article of linkage, right, between أَرْجُلَكُمْ, not linkage with وَامْسَحُوا بِرُؤُوسِكُمْ, but the linkage to أيديكم. Therefore, for rijil, you have to wash it. So looking at the grammar of the ayah, you have to wash your feet, not wipe it just the way you will wipe your head. But there's a little problem there. We cannot just rely on the grammar of the verse to bring out the hukum from the verse. We can do that, right? Because even though many of the Qur'an, for example, Imam Nafi read the verse just like we're reading it now, there are other acceptable Qur'an that read it otherwise. They read the verse as يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا قمتم إلى الصلاة فاغسلوا وجوهكم وأيديكم إلى المرافق وامسحوا برؤوسكم وأرجلكم إلى الكعبين. There are other Qur'an that read it and the qira'at were acceptable qira'at. And they read وَأَرْجُلِكُمْ إِلَى الْكَعْبَيْنِ, right? Which means based on the grammar in their recitation, then we have to wipe our um, our feet, right? So actually using the grammar of the verse to understand the hukum is a little bit problematic here. So we still have to go back to the practical sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and see what he does, right? There was a day, according to Abdullah ibn Umar, there was a day they were traveling together with the Prophet, but they kind of left him behind a little bit, and they moved forward, and they found a station to wait a little bit before they move on. And it was time for prayer. They started performing ablution, and then they reached the feet. When they reached the feet, they started wiping and not really washing the way they wash the other parts of the wudu. And then the Prophet ﷺ saw them, and immediately he saw them. His response was, وَيْلٌ لِلْأَعْقَابِ مِنَ النَّارِ وَيْلٌ لِلْأَعْقَابِ مِنَ النَّارِ. Those feet that are not washed, they will be burnt by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I mean, these are some kind of metaphorical kind of explanations of what you need to do. He's not telling them that they are going to go to hellfire, but he's telling them that this feet that you didn't wash is a problem. That's what he was telling them, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's a problem that you didn't wash your feet, right? And when we see the way he performed his wudu, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he always washes his feet. There was a day, according to someone who lives with Osman ibn Affan, he said there was a day that I saw Osman ibn Affan performing wudu. He washes his hand 3 times, he rinsed his mouth 3 times, then he rinsed his nose 3 times, and then he washed his face 3 times. He washed his hand up to the elbow 3 times, the 2 hands, and then he wiped his head, and then he wiped his ears, then he washed his feet 3 times. And the point here is that after he washed his feet 3 times, then he said, That is the way I saw the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam performing wudu. هكذا كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يتوضأ. That is the way I saw the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam performing wudu. And he said to us, anyone who performed wudu like this and then pray nafila 2 rakahs, Allah would wipe all his zunubs between 2 salats, the previous salat and this one that he has just performed wudu, perform the prayer. So therefore, based on the practical sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, what we can be able to deduce from it, and from the actions of his Sahaba, washing the feet is what is acceptable as far as wudu is concerned, right? And another explanation given by some scholars is that even when the recitation is based on the other mazahib al-qira'ah that recites it as وَامْسَحُوا بِرُؤُوسِكُمْ وَأَرْجُلِكُمْ إِلَى الْكَعْبَيْنِ, they are talking about wiping when you have al-khuffayn, al-mashu al-khuffayn. That is what they are talking about, not actually wiping on your bare foot, but wiping on your hoof, right? That is what they are talking about. وَإِن كُنْتُمْ جُنُبًا فَطَهَّرُوا. But if you happen to have janaba either as a result of having an intercourse with your wives or having a wet dream, then you need to wash yourselves. Uslul janaba, washing of janaba. You have to do that, the ritual washing, before you can either perform wudu or do it together with the ritual washing, and then you come and perform prayer. وإن كنتم مرضى أو على سفر أو جاء أحد منكم من الغائط أو لامستم النساء فلم تجدوا ماء. But assuming you are either ill, you can't touch water, right? أو على سفر, or you are traveling and you reach a wadi, you reach a Sahel or Sahara where there's no water. أو جاء أحد منكم من الغائط, someone from whom you went to the washroom and came back and couldn't find water to clean themselves. أو لامستم النساء, or you had an intercourse the previous night and in the morning to pray subah, you don't have water to wash yourself, to do the ritual washing of yourself. What do? فَتَيَمَّمُوا صَعِيدًا طَيِّبًا. Then you can now perform a tayammum. Right? Allah has mentioned a number of things in kuntum marda aw ala safar, but there are things that are not mentioned, but actually can be. We can do al-qiyas. We can do al-qiyas based on the things that were mentioned. Right? Like for example, if the weather is just too cold, you can't touch water, and you don't have any means to warm the water so that you can use it and wash yourself. What do? You still do tayammum. There was a case of some Sahaba traveling, and one of them, actually their leader, um, uh, became junub, and he wanted to perform tayammum. But his people say, no, how can you do tayammum? You can't when there's water available. Go and wash yourself before you come and pray with us. And because of the it was really, really a very scorching winter, but he still did it because people were forcing him to do it. So he did it, and he became ill and died as a result of that. And then they came back and reported to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this is what happened, this is what happened, this is what happened. And what did he say? He said, قَتَلُوهُ قَاتَلَهُمُ اللَّهُ. They killed him. Allah's curse will be on them. قَتَلُوهُ قَاتَلَهُمُ اللَّهُ. Right? So even if you are not actually ill, but you are traveling, but you are traveling in the winter and the water is so cold, you can't touch it, you don't have any means to warm it, so you still do tayammum. Tayammum sa'idan tayyiba. You do tayammum with a clean surface of the earth. Imsahu biwujuhikum, and then you wipe your faces, wa aydiyakum, and your hands. One wise Islamic scholar put it this way. He said, if you want to understand how tayammum works, anything that you need to wash in wudu, now you need to just wipe it. And anything that you need to wipe in wudu, now you just want to leave it out. He is one of the scholars that are supporting the idea that you want to you don't need to wash your feet. You need to wipe your feet based on the grammar of the verse. So he's supporting that. So when he sees this, he explains it as okay, in tayammum, anything that you need to wash, you now wipe it. And anything that you need to wipe, now you leave it out. Because in tayammum, you don't need to wipe your feet. You only wipe your face and then your hand up to your ankle. وَأَيْدِيكُم مِّن مَا يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ لِيَجْعَلَ عَلَيْكُم مِّنْ حَرَجٍ. The whole idea is that Allah does not want to put you through hardship. That is not the idea of the religion. The idea of the religion is not for Allah to put you through hardship. That is not the idea. Right? وَلَكِنْ يُرِيدُ لِيُطَهِّرَكُمْ وَلِيُتِمَّ نِعْمَتَهُ عَلَيْكُمْ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ. What Allah actually wants is for Him to cleanse you, to clean you completely, وَلِيُتِمَّ نِعْمَتَهُ عَلَيْكُمْ, and then to perfect His bounties upon you, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ, so that you become some of the most thankful, some of the most grateful servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this brings us to the end of our studies today, inshallah. And inshallah, by tomorrow, we are going to continue from verse number 7 of the same surah. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وتولنا فيمن توليت وبارك لنا فيما أعطيت وقنا واصرف عنا برحمتك شر ما قضيت فإنك تقضي بالحق ولا يقضى عليك إنه لا يعز من عاديت ولا يذل من واليت تبارك ربنا وتعالى. اللهم اقسم لنا من خشيتك ما تحول به بيننا وبين معاصيك ومن اليقين ما تهون به علينا مصائب الدنيا ومتئنا اللهم بأسمائنا وأبصارنا وقواتنا أبدا ما أحييتنا واجعله الوارث منا واجعل ثأرنا على من ظلمنا وانصرنا على من آدانا ولا تجعل الدنيا أكبر همنا ولا مبلغ علمنا ولا إلى النار مصيرنا ولا تسلط علينا بذنوبنا من لا يخافك فينا ولا يرحمنا رب العالمين. اللهم ربنا زكي نفوسنا وآتها تقواها أنت خير من زكاها أنت وليها مولاها. اللهم ربنا زكي نفوسنا وآتها تقواها أنت خير من زكاها أنت وليها مولاها. اللهم ربنا زكي نفوسنا وآتها تقواها أنت خير من زكاها أنت وليها مولاها. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد النبي الأمي الذي يجدونه مكتوبا عندهم في التوراة والإنجيل يأمرهم بالمعروف وينهاهم عن المنكر ويحل لهم الطيبات ويحرم عليهم الخبائث ويضع عنهم إصرهم والأغلال التي كانت عليهم. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.